of them. And I'm not even trying to. I'm still, right now, I'm trying to be gentlemanly and tell you, don't do that. This is how you help your own brand. Who would do that? Nobody else would do that. I want all of you to succeed. I want all of you to do well. I want you all to make money, because you're all going to be having a harder time in the next few years. It's going to get stupid. So you've probably been looking at the way the market's behaved. And early on in the beginning of May, I told you one of the seasonal tendencies I like to have is a sell-off or weakness in the month of May going down into the month of June for stock indices. And if you have gone through the core content, you'll hear me talk about seasonal tendencies, and I give you very specific seasonal tendencies. And I got them from Steve Moore, okay? And I've already shared his website and such, but he doesn't know me. And maybe he does now, because I probably put a lot of people on to him, but I don't get any kind of kickbacks. And Steve, if you're listening, I don't want one. Okay. I just think he has the superior the commodity and well, all the markets, really. He covers all of them. But his seasonal tendencies are absolutely the pinnacle. Like, that is, if you're going to do anything with seasonality in markets, he is the person to go to. Like, he is the man. He's the guy that has the data, because the way he does it, it's not form-fitted. You know, I have Larry Williams' Sure Thing Commodity Trading book, okay? And to me, when I first read it, it was like, wow, this is revolutionary. You know, this is the thing. And he was kind of like the first guy to get out there and really put something in the print about it. And you got guys like, when I was coming up, it was like Jake Bernstein. You know, he made a big thing about seasonal tendencies. It wasn't until Steve Moore did his product of having like a 15-year, a 5-year, you know, comparing, showing the relationships of how it performed over like the seasonal tendency. For instance, when eggs used to be a futures contract, and they don't trade them anymore, but when do you think egg prices would go up? Right before Easter. Everybody would be buying eggs to dye them, and it was just like every year everybody knew when to buy eggs, and that was the trade that's never failed. Well, that same thing existed in pork bellies, and if you eat bacon, that's where you get bacon from, the pork belly. Well, they don't trade pork bellies anymore either. So, but these thin markets, they were really wonderful markets that had high degree accuracy with their seasonality. Steve Moore brought in a perspective that if he hadn't done it, I wouldn't have even considered it. So I think he revolutionized the whole viewpoint of seasonality by looking at the relationship to any seasonal tendency over the basis of a short period of time using the data. How did the seasonality or seasonal tendency perform over the last 5 years? And then how did it perform over the last 15 years? And then how did it perform over the last 25 years or 30 years? And if you have a seasonal tendency that delivers a specific direction on any given market, that all three of them are in agreement with, that to me, and that's, I'm sure if he was talking to you, he would say the same thing. That's a very strong seasonal tendency. Very, very strong seasonal tendency. And that was what I did in my core content, where I used his seasonal tendency charts. And I said, these are my favorite seasonal tendencies because I see them as strong. And I go into detail as to, you know, why I believe that. And I show you visually using his product. And I think that if you are going to trade with seasonal tendencies, you should support him as a content creator. I get nothing for it. It's a matter of insight that you really can't get. There's a lot of people on websites out there that have seasonal tendency graphs and such. To me, they're substandard. They're nowhere near the degree of Steve Moore and what he does with seasonal tendencies. And frankly, if I was him, I would charge more money. And you're probably cussing me right now thinking, what are you doing that for, ICT? because his product in the hands of someone that knows how to trade, it's literally like a roadmap. Like it literally, like I can look at these graphs and say, okay, in the fall, at this specific month, I know I want to be a short seller. I want to be a long trader on this month of that particular market. And it sounds like that can't be. As a new trader, when you first come into this, everything is told to you by books and educators that it's random. Everything in these markets are random, and you can't time the market, and you have to react to price. And that's absolute bullshit. That's bullshit. You cannot listen to that drivel, okay, and adhere to that logic and become a independent thinking, consistently profitable trader. I'm convinced of it, because I did my utmost best to try to do that. And everybody else that does the same bullshit, that's why the 90% losing statistic exists. But what you don't realize is, folks, listen, and I've said this many times in other resources, whether it be on YouTube or in other Twitter spaces, but yes, I absolutely believe this, that the statistics with trading, that 90% blow out really early and they never become profitable. 90%. But what you fail to realize is there's another party on the other side of their trades. It's a net sum zero game. For every winner, there's a buyer. So the paradigm shift that I had was, okay, when I first started, I was absolutely residing in that 90% losing crowd. I was there, and I was buying books thinking that shit was going to help me. It was going to change my direction. It was going to create me and put a path in front of me that was going to be the right one. Now, what I failed to understand is if I'm buying that same book, and it's been out there for sale for years before I even started, why is it that everybody else hasn't figured out what I was going to do, which is follow the rules? And when I stopped buying books, that's when I started learning. When I stopped system hopping and changing my hand of who wants to teach me now, who wants to be the mentor of Michael. When that stopped, and I put my ass in front of the charts and said, okay, I don't know anything. I'm nobody, and I'm at the first step. I'm at zero. What do I want to do? Where is my focus at? Where do I right now, looking at these markets and the opportunities that they present, where do I want to go in this? What can I do with the job that I have? I had a job that I was working. I had to be out in Owens Mills real early in the morning, and the whole workday was really about 12 and a half, 13 hours. So I couldn't be in front of the charts to trade live, because I would be all over Baltimore City and Baltimore County filling up vending machines, fixing coffee machines. And even on the way home, I would probably have to be stopping and fixing a machine that someone would call and say, hey, something didn't work. And my boss at the time, Glenn, would say, this is what I need you to do this. And that's it. So I can't go home and do what I want to do when I'm off. I'm stopping and doing a service call. So I had to come up with a way of determining what the hell it is I'm going to do, which was very difficult for me, because I felt like if I could sit in front of the charts and look at 1 hour charts real time, I would be able to do very, very well. But I couldn't have real time charts while I was driving around in a step van. So the next best thing for me was to get some kind of quote device. So that way I had to come up with a way of determining where I want to be a buyer, because I wasn't a short seller in the beginning. I didn't understand short selling. I was afraid of it. And it didn't make any sense. How can you sell something you don't own and make money, right? It's like, what the hell's that? So I wanted to be a buyer only. So my motto was buy model only. And what was the driving force behind the decisions that made me a buyer? I was looking at a 9 and 18 exponential moving average on a daily chart. If the 9-day moving average, now I don't do this now, folks, so don't take this as the gospel, okay? But I'm just telling you how we have changed, okay? We've definitely evolved. But when I first started, it was a 9 EMA exponential and a 18-day exponential moving average on the daily chart. And I had a 50-day moving average that was just a simple, not even exponential. So what I wanted to see was that 50-day sloping up. I don't care how, if it was a gradual slope, if it was higher than it was 20 days ago, to me, I'm looking for longs. But that doesn't give me the buy yet. I wanted to see the 9-day being above the EMA. I'm sorry, the 9 EMA above the 18-day EMA. But it can't just cross it.